Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Crypto. I'm laughing at myself actually. This puzzle on screen is called Trickster. It's by James Sinclair, who produces such fabulous puzzles so often. And just before I turned on the webcam, I was like, Trickster. I wonder why I didn't call it Loki, because in my mind, Trickster and Loki are synonymous. Of course, Loki being the tricksy one of the Thor Loki brotherhood, and then I've just realised it says Loki in the grid. That's L, that's O, that's sort of a K, and that's an I. So James, you've already got me, and a very beautiful looking grid this is as well. And I think this is quite a new puzzle, but we've had a few recommendations overnight to try it, and I'm starting this video a little bit late today. So apparently it's 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, so not an absolute brute. And I thought that might be the most sensible thing for me to have a go at, given time constraints and making sure I get the video live by 8:30, which is something somehow we've managed to achieve, both of us, for the last 5 years or something, since the start of the first COVID lockdown. So I'll read you the rules of Trickster by James Sinclair in a moment or two's time. Actually, just one thing I will mention. If you enjoy James Sinclair's puzzles, and who doesn't, you should check out Artisanal Sudoku, which is a weekly sort of, I'll call it a puzzle letter that James produces. I'll put a link to it under the video. And, there's free puzzles. I think you can pay a subscription and get extra puzzles as well, but wholeheartedly recommend it to you. But other things to mention before we kick off into the rules of this one. I'll start off by mentioning yesterday's puzzle. Please, 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 if you have not had a go at yesterday's puzzles, give yourself the most unbelievable treat and have a go at a tilt at full rank by Bilal. And I was right, it is the pedaling pianist's father, Stephen, who I've met Stephen and Stuart. That's Stuart is the pedaling pianist. But this puzzle is exceptionally good. It is so exceptionally good. I mean, we called the video something like "This could be the puzzle of the year," and we're only in February, and that is because it could be. It is so wonderful to solve this. Honestly, it's not. I don't think it's that difficult. It's a bit weird, but it's not that difficult, and you must try it. If you're a puzzle fan, please do have a look at yesterday's puzzle. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen to the video. You will give yourselves a real treat if you do. Other things to mention. Let me look at my list. I have got some birthdays to do, but I should do Patreon, shouldn't I? Oh yes, yesterday also we released the video of me solving with Erin, who won our competition last month. So Erin proved to be an extremely useful Sudoku solver. We solved Boundaries by Playmaker6174. That video's on the channel, and I think it's a lot of fun, so do have a look at that. But this month's competition, which runs till the 20th of February, this was the state of play as of yesterday. So we had 1,500 had solved the first puzzle, 835 had solved the last puzzle. Let's see where that's got to now. Reload. 835. It's nearly 900. It's so good. It's so good. So the rate of people trying the first puzzle is slowing down, but the rate of people getting through the last puzzle is increasing. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. If you're a patron, do have a go at this. It is an absolute treat from Paint by Numbers Institute. If you're not a patron, it's a couple of bucks a month to join us over there, and honestly, it's pretty good value. I would say that, wouldn't I? But I honestly don't think there is a better way. You can get more enjoyment in terms of hours of enjoyment and quality of enjoyment per dollar or pound or whatever your currency is. I just don't think there is anything better value out there. So anyway, that's Patreon. Now let's do birthdays. I'm looking at my list of birthdays. I'll start off with Chip Sounder, the setter. Chip Sounder is turning the big 4-0 today. Having chocolate cake apparently after a delicious or a delightful carvery. So enjoy that, Chip Sounder, and you might also want to check out Mark's video later on, because there might be a birthday present in that for you. Now, next thing. Well, actually, let's talk about Rick's tattoo. It's quite unusual, the things I get to talk about on the channel, but I mentioned the Stormlight Archive, the Brandon Sanderson series on the channel about a week ago, I think, and said that I was about to start the last book. And Rick wrote in showing us his tattoo, Journey Before Destination, which I think is that from the First Ideal and the Way of Kings? I might be getting that wrong, but I think it is. And Rick's plan is to visit places in the world, go to tattoo parlours, and give the tattooist, I suppose, sort of artistic license with very little sort of rules to govern what they then do. And to produce an extra tattoo related to that location. So PNW is going to be Pacific Northwest, maybe. Let me just think about that. PNW. There might be other things that PNW stands for that are more obvious than that, and I apologise if I've got that wrong. But yeah, that's Rick. I wish you luck with that. I hope it's not like a passport and you sort of run out of room at some point. Anyway, next, Hannah, it's your birthday today. Hannah's husband is making her ooey gooey butter cake, which has a 1-to-1 ratio of icing to cake. Apparently it's Hannah's favourite cake. Ooey gooey butter cake. Oh, I'm trying not to sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. No, I think it's gone. That sounds amazing. I mean, it sounds quite bad for you, but mind you, the sort of chocolate cake with the icing ratio that I would like is probably quite bad for me. But Hannah, well, I hope you have a great birthday today. I know Hannah started watching just before the birth of her first child, and has since had your son as well. I think you might have 2 sons. I'm not sure, but both of your children love watching Doku videos together, which is lovely, absolutely lovely. And Hannah, well, many happy returns. And then we had this is an amazing email we had from Carly about her grandfather, Thomas. I'm going to read you this one, actually. I'm going to read you some of it, because this is Carly's email about her grandfather. His name is Thomas Byrne, and he passed away on January the 18th of this year. As you can see from the subject of this email, his birthday was coming up on February the 6th, and I was wondering if you could give him a small shout out. He never watched the channel, unfortunately, but I know he would have loved it. He was brilliant. He had such an expansive knowledge of the world, and he continued learning until he passed. He and my grandma watched Jeopardy every night, and he would shout the right answers all the time. My grandpa liked polarizing foods like black licorice and pickled pig's feet. He graduated from Fordham University in New York, and he was very, very tall. I want to say 6'5" or 6'7" at his tallest. He served in the US Air Force, and he moved all around the US, including Ohio, Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Florida. He rooted for Tennessee for college football, and he was married for 61.5 years. He was on the team that did the soft landing on the moon. He did fantastic things. But beyond that, he was a man, husband, father, and grandfather. He raised 5 kids and spoiled 11 grandkids. My grandfather was one of the most chivalrous men of his generation. He stood up for those who needed help, and never gave a second thought to give someone the shirt off his back. I am so proud to be his granddaughter. Isn't that lovely? That is absolutely lovely. And I looked up Thomas's name, and I read his obituary. He was a truly remarkable man. He was involved in the Surveyor missions, the soft moon landings. So when they tried to work out whether they could actually land something on the moon at all. And I think Thomas was part of the team that sort of got the computers working to enable that to happen. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And well, not only obviously hugely successful in his career, but has left an indelible and really lovely, well, left incredible memories and set an incredible example for his family. So, Carly, I was very, very well. I'm sorry. I'm obviously sorry for his passing, but I think we'd all like to be remembered in the way that you're remembering your grandfather. And thank you very much for emailing me. So with that said and done, let us have a look at doing some solving. Have I got anything else to tell you? I don't think I do. So I'm going to read you the rules to Trickster by James Sinclair. And the rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Oh, and this then says, and all clues are standard. I hope it's now going to tell me what those are. Indexing. Right, digits in columns 1, 5 and 9 indicate the column in which the digit 1, 5 or 9 respectively appears in that row. Now, I remember when I first looked at 159 puzzles, I thought that was so hard to understand, but the more I've done of these, the simpler it is. So all you do is look at this column is indexing the position of ones. So let's say that cell is a 1 in this row. All you do in this column here is you count, that's in the 7th column, so you write 7 there. If there was a 1 here, you would write 4 here. If there was a 1 here, you would write 2 here. That's how it works. Now that's how it works for ones, so this column is always indexing the ones, this column does the 5s, and this column does the 9s. So let's do an example for 5s. If that's a 5, that would be a 7. If that's a 5, that would be a 2. That's how it works. So hopefully that's clear. Then we've got German whispers. So along green lines, digits must differ from their neighbours by at least 5. So if this square here is a 1, this square here has to be at least 6, and so does that one. It could be 7, 8 or 9, so could this one, but adjacent digits along green line have to differ in value by at least 5. Nabner lines. Okay, gold lines contain a non-repeating set of digits, and no two digits on the same line can be consecutive regardless of their position on the line. So how does that work? Let's make this square a 2. If this square in the corner is a 2, you now cannot put 1 or 3 on this line, because even if they're not next to the 2, you can pick any 2 digits you want, and they must not be consecutive with each other. So you could fill this with 2, 4, 6, for example. That would be a completely legitimate way to fill that line. Now, digits in cells with a shaded square must be even. So we've got 2 of those, making the sort of crux of the K of Loki. Yeah, so those 2 digits are even. And I think, let's just check, that is all the rules. Do have a go. Apparently this is a wonderful puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now I know some secrets actually. I don't know any secrets about 3-cell Nabner lines, but I know secrets about German whispers, and I do know very good secrets about these 159 rules. So let's do that first. I'm going to look at these 3 cells, and if you don't know this, it might surprise you. I didn't know this when I first started doing 159 rules, but there is a sort of entropy principle that applies. So let me try and explain. One of these 3 digits is from the digits 1, 2 and 3. One of them is from the digits 4, 5 and 6, and one of them is from the digits 7, 8 and 9. And I know that that is true. It doesn't say that in the rules, but it is an implication of the rules. And let me explain why. Let's imagine that we said, okay, could you have 2 from the 2 of the digits 4, 5 and 6 in here? Let's put 4 there. Whoops. 4 there. Oh, what colours? 4 there and 6 there. Well, that would imply 1 would go in the 4th column and 1 would go in the 6th column. And you can see that's going to put 2 1s in this box. And of course the same principle is going to apply if two of these are from the digits 7, 8 and 9. If we make that 8 and that 9, that's going to say, whoopsie, 1 here and 1 here. And we're going to have a problem in this box. So in order to keep the ones apart, far enough apart, effectively one of these digits is going to index the 1 into this box, one of these digits is going to index the 1 into this box, and one of these digits will index the 1 into that box. And we have to make sure that there is no overlap. So that is a principle that we're going to be thinking about in this puzzle. Now let's move on to whispers. Now, in fact, that's probably where I'd start, is to pencil mark 5 into column 3, because you can never put the digit 5 on a whisper. And that is because the adjacent digit now has to be 5 different from 5. And if we go downwards, we get to 0, or negative numbers. They aren't Sudoku digits. And if we go upwards, we get to 10 or higher, and they aren't Sudoku numbers either. So no 5s on these lines. And they will oscillate polarity. So let me explain what that means. Because we know there's no 5 on this line, we can think of each digit on the line as having the quality of either being below 5 or above 5. But what you find is that they have to oscillate. And let's understand why that's the case. So let's imagine this digit was below 5. Can this digit and this digit also be below 5? Well, no, they can't. Because the furthest apart those could be would be 1 and 4, which is only 3 apart. So that one's going to have to be higher. And again, this one now would have to be lower again. Otherwise, it would be from 6, 7, 8, 9. And it would be 6 and 9 would be the furthest apart. That's not 5 apart. So you're going to get oscillation. Which means those 3 digits are going to be of one polarity. And those 3, that's quite difficult. It's quite a colourful puzzle to know what colour to use there. we'll make this look like a wasp. So the O of Loki is a wasp, and the black digits are sort of one polarity, the yellow digits are the other polarity. And obviously in any column there could only be a maximum of 4 digits of any one polarity, because say we were thinking about the low polarity, we've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 to play with. So if those two were both yellow, that would constitute a complete set of one polarity, which is probably okay actually. Could be, normally it is difficult to put 6s and 4s on the whispers, because those digits are sort of very constrained in terms of what their partners can be. So 6, for example, there is only one Sudoku digit that's 5 away from 6 at least, and that's the digit 1. 4 is the same. It can only be next to the digit 9, but you can see here that you can put the digit... no you can't. Right. Actually, hang on. I'm going to study that a bit more. Right. Hang on a moment. Let me just think about this. Okay. I have stumbled into something here, and this is very clever. This is classic James. It's sort of right. Okay, so what I was sort of pontificating about here was that if that's 4, it's normally difficult to put 4 on, but here you could make these double 9. Except in this puzzle you can't do that. And that's because these 9s are in adjacent columns. And why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem here, isn't it? Because we know that these digits index the 9s, and if the 9s are in adjacent columns in this puzzle, you're going to get consecutive numbers on the nabna. Because if that's a 9, that's going to be a 3, and if that's a 9, that's going to be a 4, and 3 and 4 are consecutive. We can't do that. You can't do that in this puzzle. Now, And the same is obviously true for 6. If you go 6, double 1, this is going to be 3 and that's going to be 4, and that breaks this way round. So you can't do that. So 4, 5 and 6 are off the wasp. And that means this column is absolutely beautiful actually, because that same principle applies to this. This isn't a wasp down here, but it applies to that square. So yeah, let's go through this. You can't put 4, 5. You can't put 5 on the green line at all. So in fact, that was what I was going to do to start the puzzle before I started to pontificate about German whispers. So in fact, let's just check this. So 5 is in one of those squares, which means that in those squares there must be a 3, mustn't there? Because that's indexing the 5 in this column. No. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Now 4s and 6s, where are they? We've worked out we can't put 4s and 6 on the waspy thing. Can we put a 4 or a 6 here? No, because if that's a 4, that's going to cause double 9 immediately in the column. So this can't be a 4 or a 6. Can you put 4 or a 6 here? No, that works just like the corners of the wasp. If this was 4, that would put double 9 here, and that would put 3 and 4 here. That doesn't work because of this nabna. So we could put a 4 or a 6 here, and I think we're going to have to, because imagine we didn't. If this cell was not a 4 or a 6, 4 and 5 and 6 in this column would be confined to those 3 squares. And why is that a problem? Well, the implication of that is that you've got no middly digit here, which means that there is no 1 at all in that box. And that's definitely wrong. That is definitely wrong. So this is 4 or 6. This is 1 or 9. And whatever this isn't is in here. So that digit is the middle entropy digit on that string of digits, isn't it? Because let's say this was 6. If this was 6, this would be 1. And 4 and 5 would be in these squares. But there must be a middly digit on here. We've learnt that. And that would have to be that digit. So that digit, whatever it is in one of those 3 and one of those 3 cells. And that digit is a 1. Aha, yes, okay, so this digit is a 1, and that is because if this digit was not a 1, let's think about what happens if it's 9. Well, a 9 is indexed by this digit, but that's in the 3rd column, and 3 is not an even number. Isn't that beautiful? Good grief. So this is 1, that's our first digit, that's 6. This is 3, because the 1 is in the 3rd column. Now, okay, so now we know, well, we don't know how it relates to the waspy thing, but we do know the polarity of this German whispers line. This must be a high number now, and that must be a low number now. Ah, low number, because we're going to oscillate polarity along this whisper. Ah, and that's not a 1. Because if that's a 1, that's exactly the problem we're trying to avoid, is having 1s in consecutive columns, because that's going to break this Nabna thing, because it will put 4 here. So this is 2, 3, or 4. We now know that oh yeah, okay, so there is a 4 here, so there is a 6 here, because there must be a middly digit in this series, and that's indexing a 1 into one of these squares. Oh, this is the sort of thing that happens in these indexing puzzles. It can be very difficult to follow through on all the possible deductions that you can make. So 1 in this box now is in one of those positions. So and it can't be here, can it? No, it can't be here, because again, that's going to make this a 4. So 1 is in one of 2 positions. But these two positions are indexing 5s at the same time. So there's now 5 in one of these positions. And there's a 5 in one of those. There's a 5 in one of these. And okay, and the middle entropy digit on this string of digits now is not 6 and it's not 5. So there's a 4 up here, which means one of the WASP digits is a 1. Yeah, and that was sort of falling out of Sudoku, wasn't it? Which is a strange thing to note. But okay, here's another thing. If 5 is in one of those 3 positions, then 2 is in one of those 3 positions. Oh, that's obvious as well, because I've got to have low entropy, a 1, 2, or a 3 in this string, and this string. So I could have actually, the moment I penciled 1s in here and 3s in here, I could have known there was a 2 up here. So, no, that doesn't do anything. Okay. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm stuck now. I'm sure. Actually, I'm not going to say anything. So if those 2 digits were high, they would be from 7, 8, 9. And that would be 1, 2, no, 2 or 3, because it couldn't be 1. And these would both be low, but they couldn't be 2. And they can't be 4 for the reasons we mentioned before. So they would have to be a 1, 3 pair. And that would put 3 on this WASP. This could be a WASP by the time we shaded it, although we wouldn't know whether the shading was a mirror of this one or not. I don't know actually. So the digits on this WASP are from 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. So there is a 2 in one of those positions, I think. That's a little bit weird, but I think it's true. So if we look at this collection of digits, in fact, let me just fully pencil mark it to show you sort of where my brain's going with that. If I fully pencil mark this string of digits, we'd get an astronomical number of pencil marks. But the reason I'm looking at these is I can see I've got 2 low digits pointing at these. And remember that these are of opposite polarity, because if we were to waspify this O thing, you know, we get a shading like this and like that, for example. I mean, that's the most appalling colour choices, but hopefully you can see that's what we're going to have. In other words, these 2 digits are clearly of opposite polarity. So one of these has to be a low digit. Now we know that you can't put 4 in the middle of a whispers line because it'll be surrounded by 999. So one of these is a 2. And that is that doing something that I'm not appreciating? I don't think it is actually. It's putting a tiny bit of pressure on that. 4, 6, 8. No, I don't think it is doing anything. Right, okay, so that's useless. Let's try something else. We will now go and visit. This is weird. Why can't I see? Oh, it'll be low digits, will it, in this string of digits? So do we know where the 2 and the 1 are? So if that has 2 in it, 1 would be in one of those, and then 1 would be in one of those. If this has 1 in it, then 1 would be in one of these, and 2 would be in one of these. Yeah, and if 1, okay, and that would make that digit a 3, because we'd only have one more low digit left for this box, so we couldn't have the yellows as the low digits. This would be a 3, this would be an 8, 9 pair, one of which would be indexed by a 3 over here. Oh goodness, this is getting very confusing actually. Oh botheration, I don't see what to do. Could I do 4s, 5s and 6s in these columns or something like that? Because we know we can't put 4, 5... Oh! Ah, I see. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. No, sorry. There's something very simple here. Where's 6 in this box? That's weird. Oh, why couldn't I see that? Right. So this is a good question, except it's a late come late to the question. We know that you can't put 4, 5 and 6 on this ringed German whispery thing. So 6 is in one of those 3, except it can't be here, can it? Because that's indexing the 5, and it would be putting the 5 onto the whisper. Well, that doesn't work. So that's 6. So 6 is in one of 2 places. Can that be 6? If that's 6, it's putting 9 onto the whisper, which is probably okay. Alright, let's go back to this thing now. That can't be 4 once this is 6. This is 8. That's interesting. Right, that's really interesting. This digit, I think, is now crucial. Remember when we looked at the patterning of this, I said that because these had to be opposite polarity, there must be a 2 in one of those squares. I'm just going to pencil mark it like that. Well, what is the even digit here? 4 or 8 is the answer. Well, it can't be 4, because that would go onto that 6. I can't put 9 on top of 6. You can't turn the 6 upside down. It's not like a frown. So we have to put 8 there, which means it's indexing a 9. So that's a 9. Now, beautiful. Now I know the polarity of this wasp. Because, remember the oscillation, it's going to be those squares versus those squares. Can I get a better colour choice here? Red, maybe? Maybe, yeah. No, I've already used yellow. Purple. Maybe that's better. I don't know. But clearly these two, if blue was high, these would be 6 and 7. But we know we can't put 6 on this, this strangely coloured wasp. This is more like a dragonfly. So, these two have to be low. They can't be 4. We've worked out you can't put 4. So this is now 2, because it's got to be a low digit that's not 1 or 3. And these are all high. And we can't put 6 on. So this is a 7. We can't do Sudoku. That doesn't mean we don't need these. We know these aren't 7. And in this row, this digit, which is indexing, it's 4 and 5 to place, isn't it? And if that's a 4, no, that can't be 4, because that would be putting the 5 here. So 5 is indexing itself into this position. And this isn't a 2 anymore. So this is 3 or 4, so that's not 7 anymore. 7's not 5 away from 3 or 4. And can we do any better than that? Probably. We just have to think for a few minutes. If that's 7... Yeah, okay. 7 can never be next to 3, can it? So this is a 1-2 pair. And one of these digits is therefore a 1, which means one of these digits is therefore a 7. And they are a 5-7 pair now, over here. Which means these squares are 2, 8 and 9. by that fair-weathered friend Sudoku applying itself to here. 2 is in one of those squares. Now, what does that mean? That probably means something. I don't know. Oh dear. There's got to be a high digit. Oh yes, okay. There's got to be a high digit in one of those squares, but by the entropy rule. To put it a different way, where is 5 in this box? And the answer is I haven't got a clue, but it's in one of those 4 places, which are in columns 8 and 9. So one of these is a 1, and one of them is an 8 or a 9. And that sort of gives a virtual 7, 8, 9 triple in this box. We've got 2 high digits there, and then we've got another one in one of those squares. And that means this square is 3 or 4. And does that affect this wasp? Can these now... Ah, yes, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so the top wasp now, if we look at the black digits, can they be low? No, I don't think they can, because they can't be 3 or 4. 2 is apparently hypothecated to the middle of this box. So 1 could go in one of them, but the other one then couldn't exist. So we now know the polarity of the top wasp. And if this is 1, that's 4, because that's in the 4th column. So these digits are now 2, they're a 2-3 pair exactly, because they can't be 4 and they can't be 1. So these are high digits, and we know that they're not 6, because 6 can never go on the wasp. This digit can't be 7, because one of these digits is 3, and 3 and 7 are only 4 apart. So that's 8 or 9. These ones, I don't think we know yet. And okay, so this is interesting for the entropy here, isn't it? I need a low digit on this string, and that now is the digit 1, because it can't be 2 or 3. So that, oh, and that 1 is indexing itself, which is not useful. And then there's got to be a high digit, because there's going to be a 1 over here somewhere. It's going to be, it can't be 7 actually, it's going to be an 8 or a 9 in one of those squares. So there is a 1 in one of those 4 positions. I don't think I know which one though. Oh, no, that's fine. Look at column 3. I've got an 8, 9 pair and a 2, 3 pair, so I should know these. These are 4, 5 and 7, just by Sudoku. So 6 is here, which we've already deduced as the middle entropy. The high entropy is 8 or 9, so there's a 1 in one of these squares, which actually that's totally useless. Aha. Okay, now because we worked out 1 was the low entropy digit in this string and 3 is the low entropy digit on this string, 2 must be in this string. And that's indexing a 1 into one of those squares, and this is not doing anything, is it? This is just, that's just plain vanilla old Sudoku. Okay, alright, sorry. So instead of that, we will argue that I don't know what we're gonna... Ah, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is good. Don't I need a low digit in one of those squares that isn't 1 or 2? So there's a 3 in one of those. That's placing a 9 in one of these squares. Well, one of those two actually, to be precise. And that's a 6 already. So we get a... So what do we get? That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. So we get a bit of a bonus there. Now, is that doing anything magical? This, oh, I see. I get a 2-8 pair in box 7. So 8 in this box is now hypothecated to column 1, where it joins its friends, the 2 and the 6. So this is 2, 6, 8. And this is 1, 4, 9. Now one of these is a 9, so that means the 1 is right over here, which means 2 is the middle entropy digit here, which means 9 is in... Oh, so Sudoku just takes care of these digits. 1, 3, 9 is what they are. And therefore we should know what those top digits are. Ah, yeah, when we got the 9 here, this became an 8, look. Which unfortunately isn't indexed. So these squares are... No, they're not. They're 5, 6, 7, are they? I think they're 5, 6, and 7. So the 5... Oh, the 5's already been indexed by the 2. Oh, well. Okay, what's that digit then? Yeah, that's... Oh, have this been... No, this hasn't been available for very long. But that's even. And I've got a 1, 2 pair down here. So it's not 2, it's not 4, it's not 8. So that's 6. But that's... Okay, so that's not 6. And the upshot of that is going to be... I don't know. Probably something, though. We haven't put... Right, 4, 5 and 6 have to find a home in this box. And 6 can be placed. Sorry, has that been available for ages? Well, that is not a 4. Because that would put a 9 on top of a 3. So that must be a 5. That must be a 4. That must be the 9 that this indexes. So I've got 7, 8 pair here. So this is now 1. Which puts 5 in the corner, 7 goes here, that indexes the 1, so that's a 1, that's a 2. This is 7, this is 8, this is 8, this is 2. We've done the bottom 3 rows of the puzzle now. And the upshot of that is going to be probably something. Let's just give this a moment's thought. No, I don't know yet. Is it this Nabna? 6 here means 5 and 7 are not on the wings. So 5 is a bit restricted. 5 has to be in one of 3 places in this box, but I don't think 7 is very restricted. Probably famous last words, but I think 7 can go in a lot of places. Actually, 7 can't go there, because that would say put a 9 on top of the 6 again, and again we'd be turning 6's upside down. But if 7 is in one of these positions, then 9 is in one of those. Or is it something to do with... It's probably entropy in a way I haven't quite understood. So we've got a high entropy here, which is 9. So 7 and 8 have to fit into these squares, indexing 5. No, that's not good, is it? That doesn't matter. Oh, right. Ah, here's a point. 5. Okay, so what's the... Oh no, that could be 4 or 6. Oh no, hang on. I'm getting lost. I'm getting lost now. This is bad. Where should we... I don't know where to look. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's obvious if you have the correct sequence of thoughts, but I'm just not having them. Is it 8 can go on this Nabna, so it's not that. Is it this row? It's probably Sudoku, isn't it? What do we need in this row? 2, 3, 5, 7, 9. Is there some 2, 3? See, 2 and 7. No. Okay, let's think about where 9 is in this row. It's not here. and it's not here. So it is either here, which would make this a 6, which is impossible. Oh, I see. So 9 is placed in row 2. That's really hard to see for me. 9 only can only go there, where it indexes itself as well, so that's really not very helpful. But the rest of this row is now 2, 3, 5 and 7. Okay, I am going to pencil mark it. 2, 3, 5, 7. 2, 3, 5, 7. And that's not 5, and that's not 2 or 7 actually, so that's 3 or 5. And this is indexing, yeah, so this is indexing the 5, which can't be here, and can't be here. So that's a naked single 2. That's so strange. 2, 5, 3, 7 all go into the grid. So this row is just done if we study the indexing. Ah, so now, yeah, now 5 in this box is locked into one of 2 places. So that means, and that's in column 7, so one of those must be a 7. So this is huge. That's a huge deduction, because if that's a 2-7 pair, now 7 comes out of these 2 squares, so this becomes an 8-9 pair, and now we know these digits, which are 2, 2, 5 and 7 apparently. Oh, bobbins, that's so useless on the Nabna. These squares are 6 and 5. Oh, so again, no, that can't be true. Something's gone wrong. Because now I can't index, whichever one of these is 5. Oh, hang on, I've got 2 and 7 here, and a 2 written in here, so sorry, I've gone completely haywire here. Where did I put the 2 and the 7 in? How did I get that? Oh, I know what I did. Well, no, I don't know what I did. I wrote 2, and that's just an absolute nonsense. So having got the 2 here, I wrote 2, 7 in there. I don't know why I did that. It's true to say that one of these is 7. That's certainly true. So the other one is a middly digit. And it's not 5, so one of these is 4 or 6, and these are from 4, 6 and 7, but they can't be 4 because you can't write 5 on the wasp, so these are 6 and 7 now. Well, that still means there's 7 in there, so that's still an 8-9 pair, and now these squares are still going to be 5. What are they going to... Oh, no, they are... I think they're different now. I'm not sure. 2, 5, 7 anyway. Okay, well, now I can get rid of 7 from that one. Because if that was 7, that would be 6 on the Nabna. And 6 and 7 are sequential, so that's not right. In fact, we can get rid of 7 from that one as well on exactly the same basis. If this is 7, that would have to be 6, and they are sequential. In fact, now I can get rid of 5 from this one. Because if that's 5, that's 4... And that's bad on the Nabna, so that's a 2, which takes 2 out of this square, and 2 out of this square, and 2 out of these squares, of course. So one of these is a 5. That must be indexed here by a 4. Oh, look, yeah, but this column is done. It's 3, 4, and 8. So there must be a 4 here, indexing the 5 that's appearing here. This is 3 or 8, which is that one or that one for the 5 in the row. They both look potentially reasonable, don't they? Yeah, in fact, one of the things I noticed earlier is we've got this arrangement of 5. So 5's in one of these positions, so 8 being in one of these is completely and utterly reasonable. And 9 in this box is in this column. So this contains 2 goodies, doesn't it? It contains 1, 9 and 6. So one of these has to be a 6 to index the 9 that's appearing here. And one of these has to be a 7 because we need a a high entropy digit, and 9 and 8 have gone. So these are 2, 6 and 7, definitely. Which means 9 is in one of those 3 squares, being indexed by the 7 here, and these two at the top are 1, 4. Oh, I don't like. No, that's okay. For some reason I thought that was going to give me a deadly pattern, because I remembered I had something going on with 1s and 4s over here. But that is not deadly, is it? No, it's not deadly. Alright, so how does this all work now then? How do we get this? That's not 2 because of this 2, so that's 6 or 7. So that's saying there is definitely a 9 in one of those squares, so that square is not a 9. How can that be? Hang on, this can't be a 1, because that would put a 2 there. So this is a 3. And that's an 8, and if that's an 8, that's a 5, and we've done a little bit more of the puzzle. And if that's an 8, that's a 6, and I've done a little bit even more of the puzzle, because that's indexing the 1. This is so weird. Now I've got... no, this is great. That's a 7, so that's a 9, and that's a 4. And that's a 5 on this thing, and 5 can't go next to 6 on the diagonal ladder. Okay, so that's 7, that's 6, that's indexing a 5 into that position, that's indexing a 5 into that position. That's a 4 by Sudoku. That's going to do the corners. 4, 1, 1, 9. These squares here are a 6, 7 pair, which is resolved. 6, 7. 9, 8 on the wasp. Can we do 2, 3, 8 left to place in box 3? But we can't. This can't be a 2, 3 pair, can it? Because they would be sequential or consecutive. So that digit is 2 or 3. That's a 2, 3 pair in the row. So this digit is 8. And and there's a 2 at the bottom, so that's going to fix all of this stuff. So now we've only got the middle 3 rows to do, and let's think about that. So this is 2 and 6, so that's a 9 here and a 9 here. Yeah, that looks sensible, doesn't it? This column needs 4 and 8, which apparently we haven't got, and these squares are a 1, 3 pair. And those squares are a 1, 9 pair because the 3's disappeared. These are a 2, 8 pair. So we've got loads and loads of dominoes here. But 5 here. So that's probably going to fix all this. That's a 7. Oh, no, come on. Oh, if that's a 5, if these are 5s, they get indexed. So that's going to do the 3 and the 4. Which means that's 4 and that's 8. That's 8 and that's 2. These are going to do the 1s. So that's 1. That's 1, that's 9, that's 9, that's 6, that should be a 6, that should be a 2, and that's a 3, and there we go. So we got there. That was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Actually, the start of that is what I really loved. I loved when I had the thought, hang on, I can't have the 1 or the 9 in sequential columns. And we were sort of led to that by thinking about the whispers down this column here. That's a beautiful idea, is it right? Yes, it is. And yeah, it's classic James, being a trickster, being the Loki of the Sudoku world. Actually, there would be a few candidates to be the Loki of the Sudoku world, but James would be right up there in the pantheon of Lokis. And that was a very, very enjoyable and cleverly set puzzle. Wow. Let me know in the comments how you got on with it. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.